Welcome back to Opio's laboratory. So we had covered wires, conductors, and culminated in learning fuses. So today I thought we should look at resistors, and this is just an introductory video to resistors. So resistors, what do we understand by resistors? Anyway, resistors are just components or elements that can resist the flow of electricity. Yeah, elements, and the magnitude by which it is able to resist the flow of electricity is basically what we term as its resistance. So resistance is just measured in ohms, like we said earlier on. That's the unit of resistance. So the bigger the resistance, that means that resistor has a higher ability to stop or limit the flow of electricity. So anyway, I just wanted to say that these ones oppose or resist. To resist is like to try to prevent, so resists the flow of electrons. I'm going to use those words interchangeably: flow of electrons, flow of electricity. Yeah, so I think today I want to introduce why you should know about resistors. Yeah, why should you know about resistors? Basically, you need to know that because you need to understand that it's useful in certain scenarios. Now, one of the things is, one, we normally use it when we want to reduce the amount of current flowing. Yeah, that's when we shall use resistors at times. And then two is also to reduce the voltage, the voltage at the load. So those are the most common uses of resistors. Basically, reduce the amount of current flowing and also to reduce the voltage at the load. And that's why we need to learn about resistors. So we are going to in the next videos look at the understanding of resistors and show you examples of resistors, and then also show you that there are resistors that have fixed values and then resistors whose values can be changed. And those resistors whose values can be changed are what we might call variable resistors. And those variable resistors, we shall also show you how they look like and where they are mostly used in repair. But at first, resistors, just components that oppose the flow of electrons or that have high abilities to oppose the flow of electrons compared to conductors. So once a component has a higher ability to oppose current, it will be termed as a resistor. Yes, in as much as we say conductors have some resistance value, we know that it is almost negligible, close to zero. Now for resistors, that resistance is usually significant. So you're looking at things like 50 ohms, 100 ohms, 200 ohms, 1000 ohms, 1 million ohms. Yeah, basically 1 ohm to infinity, that will be considered a resistor. So depending on what you need to use the resistor for, that will determine the value of resistance that you need. In other words, which kind of resistor of what value would you use for a certain thing. I'll just give you a simple example. In one of the videos where we were talking about circuits, we showed you that times you can increase the voltage and that will increase the brightness of the bulb. Now, assuming we had already a very high voltage source, like 7.5 volts, but then the bulb that you have sort of operates at a very lower voltage, like let us say it's rated for 5 volts, how would you tap only 5 volts from that 7.5 volt source? That's where a resistor would come into play. Or now when you looked at those batteries that we used, they were made out of dry cells, and dry cells normally deliver very little current compared to rechargeable cells, the lithium ion batteries, which deliver very much current. So at times, if you want the voltage to be the same but reduce on the amount of current coming out, you would use a resistor to do that. And like we calculated at some point, you can also be able to calculate the amount of current that is flowing when you introduce a resistor, either in series or in parallel. Anyway, we shall look at that in subsequent videos, but in the next video I think I'll carry a few resistors just to show you towards the end of the video, so that you know how a resistor as a component looks like in real life. So today we're just introducing resistors, and after teaching resistors we will give you some common applications of resistors. Now, you might have noted that we mentioned that it's used to reduce current, to reduce voltage. These are normally in circuit in circuits, but then also there's a scenario where the resistor itself is being used as a load. In other words, we know that a resistance tends to produce heat, so when a resistor is used as a load, you'll find it being used in heating elements. Heating elements. And when I say heating elements, these ones you'll find them in your flat iron, you'll find them in your cooking hot plate, you'll find them in your rice cooker, you'll find them in your hair blower. So those are all resistors, which is used as a load. In itself, it's the one that is doing the work that we were interested in. Then in circuits, here it is being used to reduce current that is ending up into another load, say a bulb. Reducing voltage also is just reducing the voltage that is being applied to a load. So I think that's a third one that I had forgotten to mention. So this means that we are going to, after this lesson, be able to look at flat irons, hot plates, hair dryers, because then we will have understood resistors, and then we will also have understood how to do some computational math to be able to use or get the right resistor to use in our circuit. Yeah, that's it for today. Subscribe, share, like. See you tomorrow.